hoodoo, medicine, healing, root work, conjure, ancestral religion, born of the blood circles of our Akan ancestresses and ancestors of West Afuraka, Afurayat Africa, and ancient Afuraka, Afurayat ancient Kanit, those of our family who were forced into North America during the Umusuo Kessie, the Great Perversity, the enslavement era. However, as we were transported, we brought our ancestral religion with us, and it was upon the foundation of our ancestral religion, upon the foundation of hoodoo, that our revolts against the whites and their offspring, against enslavement, and our subsequent independence through warfare were laid. When we had children, we drew our Asumanfo, our ancestresses and ancestors, into the womb to return to Asase Afua, our earth mother once again. The knowledge of the religion and culture, the knowledge of hoodoo, was written into their okra, written into their soul, the divine consciousness, by Nyamewa and Nyame, our great mother and great father, supreme being. As they grew and developed, they accessed this ancestral knowledge and incorporated it into every aspect of their lives. This is transcarnational transmission of culture, the intergenerational spirit genetic transmission of culture, which was and is impervious to being broken through the horrors of the Musuo Kessie enslavement. Hoodoo Mayn, Hoodoo Nation, the restoration of Akan ancestral religion in North America, born of the blood circles of our people, the Akan ancestresses and ancestors who continue to return. It is through hoodoo that we were sustained, and it is through hoodoo that we will fulfill our function, complete our mission, defeat our enemies, and restore our sacred ancestral order.
Bretuo, greetings to everyone. I am Afia Nkoso Bretuo, and I'm going to be sharing with you something that has come to me through my own practice of hoodoo as part of my own journey and system of realignment and tuning in. Also, something that is an offering to reverence to my Okra wa Nana Afi, Oshun, Erzuli, Heteru, to my clan mothers of the Bretuo clan, of the leopard, of the protector and guardian of secrets, magic, and sorcery. And the art of the talisman is just that, understanding that we are sorcerers and sorceresses. We are sources of power, divine, cosmic power. And that, by our celestial birthright, classifies us ourselves as shrines, as talismans, as holders of power, energy, ashe, ajay, to me, that are in alignment with form and function. Because in reality, we understand that form and function, form always follows function, and function follows form. This is also known as the Meteria Medica, or doctrine of signatures, for those of you that are into herbology or studying of flora or fauna, that what something appears to be, its shape, its constituents, by their own design and their own life force power, give rise to their function and purpose. The art of the talisman is a guidebook. It is a recollection of ritual, and how through the alignment of ritual on a consistent day-to-day basis within our psychology and awareness, but also with actionable steps, our ability to activate the talisman of ourselves is not only possible, but is a responsibility. We hold great energy and great power, and it is a requirement of us to align with it so that we may continue the spark of life on for future generations to come. Recognizing oneself as a divine chalice, as a talisman, as an asuman, imbues one with purpose and with a manifest destiny that is fulfilled through our day-to-day rituals and our realignment, not only with and as our Okrawa, the divine God, goddesses that crown us, but also just within an alignment, remembrance, and invocation with self, because we always start there. So the art of the talisman really is about understanding and embracing that you are the shrine. As Afia, as a child of Nana Afi, as a child of Hataru, my function, part of my soul work and purpose and my reincarnation here at this time, is on harmoniously bringing together elements and energies so that they can coalesce, coagulate, and form into something that propagates life. And this really is creation, energy, life force, creational power. And it manifests in many different forms, whether we're speaking sexually, whether we're speaking creatively in the sense of ideas or ideals. It's all about fusion, harmonious fusion, and consistent harmonious realignment with our source and our center. My journey into this work as a priestess of hoodoo, within crafting ritually talismans and asumans as an Asumanfo, has not been a straight line, and it really ever is. My crowning, before even understanding my Khan ancestry, like for many of us, came through dreams. And we may have a tendency, a part of us, to feel that that's cliche, but the reality is that even from the standpoint of quantum mechanics and things that are made more scalable in a mainstream sense today, dreaming, our perception, our power within minds to travel interdimensionally through time is not a new concept. It is an African construct of psychology. It is a intuitive download that has come from our honorable ancestresses and ancestors, from Unyame wa Unyame, So that's really important for us to understand in terms of dreaming, not to allow any challenges that we may have navigated on our journey to our own fulfillment of dreams to remove its wonder and its power. In my 20s, one of the dreaming initiations actually is what I know them to be. I was gifted with a feathered crown and with a talisman decked out in gems, crystals, metals, minerals, bones, energy, shrines, talismans of the earth, mothers. And that was a tipping point in my understanding of what it takes to infuse and harmonize with what we may have been reared within the pedagogy of today to look at as an inanimate object, or as something that is not also simultaneously breathing, existing, communicating. From that moment forward, my conscious awareness into the tools that are infinitely around us, and how they are themselves then brought together and then housed, encased to create a formula or a condensation, but more of a concentration of tumi, of energy, of ashe, of life force energy. And that journey really is still continuing. We continue to learn, and our wonderment and learning should always be honored. Our desire and curiosity should always be honored because of where it can take us within the world, but also within our own spiritual awareness and understanding. So through this dreaming initiation into my priestesshood as the Asumanfo, I was gifted with talismans. And these talismans, as I have come to know through the years, and understanding and receiving context at each stage and continuing to, those talismans were directly related to not only my matrilineal line, but also to my paternal and to my crown, to my soul head. I share this because the reality of the puzzle pieces, the contextual clues on our journey as spirit warriors, warrioresses, as Hoodoo men, Hoodoo women, as root workers, is specific, detailing specific to your spirit genetic makeup. And it's really important to begin to know that all that you may have a question about, you have access to within your very being, just with you being present where you are, without any adage or adding on to you. And that is what is at the root in the spirit of truly honoring and knowing oneself as talisman, as a container, storehouse, and shrine of power. Within the English terms, language, a talisman is known as something, and I'll read the specific definition, a figure of power that is charged with the force which it is intended to represent. So I'll say that again. A figure of power charged with the force which it is intended to represent. So again, you have something representing something. You have a communication happening between, if we can say mathematically or time-wise, point A and point B. But there is a connection between them, so much so that one is operating directly as a current house, as a housing of another. This is the art of the talisman. It is understanding, reconnecting, realigning, and allowing one's instinct to guide one to the reality that we are indeed purposeful, that when we ourselves are impregnated upon our earth, mothers, when we enter into this shrine house, Asazifua, Asazaya, we ourselves are a piece of source creation, something represented, our form representing something that we're connected to that is infinite, and that gives us instruction on our purpose. And this is really at the root of value. This is really what is at the root of cultural wealth and understanding that our transference of wealth, our inheritances, are in fact a divine birthright. And just by us entering onto this shrine house, the house of the earth mothers, we already are purposeful. It's very important to allow ourselves space and time to reflect on that, because we are in a oscillating reality that offers contrary opinion. So why not affirm one's own purpose and power and realign with it, just as a means of reverence for that of which we come. Something that can happen on our journey when we feel we may, for lack of better terms, have lost our way or have been disconnected. What we're really speaking about is a desynchronization with the consistency and the current energy, the life force permeating power that is ever present, always around us. And when we ask ourselves, how do we reconnect? Not only is it important to hold it in mind, but to allow the mind center of our awareness within our soul and our reverence to our Asumanfo, to the Abosam. The important part of that is actionable realignment, taking action. Again, just as in quantum actualization and manifesting, it's not enough to just hold the vision or the thought, or it is actually enough, but through holding and bringing to one's central eye images of what one desires to create or dream forth in life, what follows from that is actionable steps. And those actionable steps, in addition to the ritual of holding space in the mind, are what create the stitching, if you will, of our Indu bag, of ourselves as a talisman. How do we coalesce? How do we bring to center? This is what is at the root, at the art of the talisman, in regards to those steps. Now, in honoring form following function, everything is beautifully synchronized. Everything's laid out. There's so many maps, whether you're looking at astrology, whether you're looking at your specific blood DNA ancestry, whether you're looking at the deities, the Abosam, the Orisha, seeking to understand the paths they themselves have taken as children of the divine cosmic mother father energy. All of it is already there, made available and accessible. And this is what we sometimes hear of as being the Akashic record, if you will. What's being spoken about in that instance is a living force, a living current, a living map, a living diagram. And our cultural protocols are what actionably we embark upon to connect and have access to that diagram. Within the art of the talisman, I have structured a 7-day cycle of rituals that may be beneficial to you on your journey as a template for you and your own coming to write and record and take action on what works for you and your own spirit genetic makeup within your own being and understanding and communication with where you are and what your purpose is. I'm sharing what has been a benefit to me on my journey, and it is my hope that it may provide access to a map that you already hold within you. So as we know, we have the 7 days of the week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Dwoda, and the list they're on. And what's important about understanding how the planets connect to those days is understanding that the form and the function, again, is laid out. The synchronization, the harmony is already present. And I'm going to read here just from some notes to give you an idea of how the book is set up. So those 7 days, das, are also 7 chapters and highlight some of the energy centers and complexes around ritual and where we can perhaps shine a focus on during those energy signatures or those days or those frequency notes, so that we can then realign, so that we can then get back on beat and add on to the song and the universal mythology with our own print and signature. So preparation, Sundays being important because that is the day that we're to prepare and administer for the energy of the week to come. And I use that word specifically because the abosim and the deities that operate within that house, Wusidai, Adaye, also in terms of its cultural significance. But the energy complexes are about administration, about preparation. How does one maintain the mapping, if you will, or the writing out, the template? How does one maintain that? And that is through administration and focus, preparation, knowing what it is that we are embarking upon. So this also brings into the realm intention. Where are we seeking to go? Where are we being pulled to go? How are we being guided there? Taking these inquiries to your shrine, taking time to sit down and journal, taking time to reflect, trance, meditate upon the coming days, what is needed, what is required, what is one receiving or registering for the week ahead, for the days ahead, so that one can navigate fully, presently, powerfully. Next would be the energy of Dwoda, and that being a time of bathing, purification. Within the context of hoodoo, every person that is within the Akan system already has an inclination that at least one day of the week, one must purify and bathe their crown, their okrawa or ori anu, depending upon the tradition. The rituals do interchange, just as the function interchanges through those pantheons. But ritual bathing is very important because one brings oneself to a space of coolness, to a space of tranquility and peace. And it is in those spaces that we are able to bring our intent, bring the preparation of the day before, and then use that to purify, to illuminate the energy within, to remove the mud of the lotus as it's rising through, opening and blossoming. Purification, rituals, rites, baths, showers, thoughts, whatever that is for you. Outside of literally, ritually cleansing your crown, making sure that, you are utilizing the ashe of water to cleanse. Doing this brings a certain energy and momentum through the ritual week, because our calendar is a ritual week. Our cycle of time is ritual. The Per Ankh Nut, our seasonal awareness, everything is ritual. And that's never been lost. Ring Stout, ritual realignment around the wheel of life, seeking to spiral. We can go any direction with it, In mathematics, the spiral, their so-called Fibonacci sequence, that printing, that motion is indicative of the current, of the stream of energy of which we are sourced. Beneda, or Tuesday, being fire gazing. Now, Beneda, Tuesday, is known as, the energy of war, but it's also known as the energy of sexual passion, creation. It's also known as physical activity, training, bringing to sweat, bringing one's form to a space of heat. And if you're seeing subtly the interaction of the elements here, we have gone from a space of mind, a space of an air, towards a space of cooling, then towards a space of heat. And these are the same structures and orders of that gridding that took place for life to be and always will, because it is a printing. It is a significant signifier, I was looking for that word, of life force, creational energy, and power. So fire gazing is something that I have done since I was a child, and as part of my ritual offering work, my priestess work, I do fire readings, and I offer that and I speak from that perspective, which is why I'm sharing it. But again, connect to whatever it is within your own makeup of how fire energy, of how the rising of heat, how does that manifest and actualize within your form? Because the art of the talisman is about you connecting to the talisman of yourself, to that of which you come. Really connecting with your power as sorcerer, sorceress, because we come from source. Wednesdays and Thursdays, or the next chapter being invocations and altar work. Invocations, similar to journaling and writing, but when one is invoking, not only is it from the space of mind, but those internal and audible vibrations then travel through those elements to become made audible, manifest, for sound to emit, so that one then is able to attach and bring out the vibrations and the current and energy, the ashe of one's focus. Each step, each day, each da, each ritual point in the cycle is purposeful. It pertains on every level that we can think of, and why would it not when we're speaking of something of energy, of the energy of the mother father energy that is infinite. It's a permeating force, and it applies on every level that we can allow ourselves or our imagination to connect to. And also, in addition to, a wukada, a kuada, the energy of Yauda, Yaada, Ahabada, is important because this is where justice happens. A lot of times we hear the word karma and we think about the effect before we allow ourselves to operate in the cause. Altar work, ritual work, and invocation is a form of justice. It is a form of law and order, because through one's invocations, through one's love and law that one is vibrating at, the frequency, the harmonics, the actual, grid line, if you will, it is through that then that we create and sow the seed of what will return to us, of what we will also shield ourselves from. So the work of justice and navigating with altar work and invocation is something that I am coming to understand, and I felt that it was really important to highlight, because I haven't seen it spoken about in that way. So I felt it was important to share how those two are connected, and how through that cycle of purification, of preparation, of then after preparation, purifying one's being, cooling, coming to a space of cooling, and then from that space of cooling, rising up, heating up. What are we going to do with that energy? We're going to invoke it. We're going to invocate. We're going to do the altar work. We're going to hold court with our Nananom and Asumanfo, with the Abosom, with our own selves, our own actions, bringing oneself to justice. That is the kind of accountability that is necessary through wielding sorceress energy, through wielding life creational power, through understanding that one is a talisman. Because what are we holding within? What are we coalescing? What forms of life are we containing? And then how is that going to bring a effect for us, for those that come from us? And how does it reflect upon from those of which we come? Following that, Fida, Friday, Venus Day. Mercury and Jupiter, Uranus and Neptune are highlighted in the invocations and altar work. But working with Friday, with the day upon which I was brought into this realm, even why this work is being brought through me. My connection to Friday, outside of understanding it through love, in the sense of sensual love, as propagation between the Africani man and woman, also extends to impregnating and birthing shrines, talismans, art, bringing those things together into form, and then from them creating something anew, even if that's within our own self-work or shadow work, in terms of what things have we brought to form or birthed, and how do we hold ourselves accountable with self-love, and then take the necessary steps to further actualize, and first assess and then actualize what it is that we do want. On this day, Fida, again, following the altar work and the preparation, holding court, bringing the terms to justice, understanding what is the undertaking, what needs to be in alignment, what parameters need to be set. Then one begins the work of activating, crafting the talisman. And I'll highlight here that in addition to this being a ritual week upon which I am speaking on, I'm also sharing my process as an Asumanfo. And instead of it being a 7-day experience, these are things that are done as I am doing that work, as I am, wearing the crown of my priestess work as an Asumanfo, to ritually craft and impregnate these beautiful, amazing life forms, life energies, this energy, this Tumi, this divinity of which we are a part. So this is a process, that a part of the process that I embark upon and go through for each specific talisman. So again, just to speak on timing, this can be something that you're utilizing at a pace that is like a week, or if you are doing shamanic or work, ritual work, hoodoo work, root work, this is something that can be a guide to how does one embark upon actually doing that. What are those steps? What are some steps that one can take that will connect one to real source power? So Fira being that day, that's the day of actually ritually crafting, the harmonization that happens after law and order and invocation, and bringing heat from the cooling, from the space of mind and air and thought. The result of that then would be that specific talisman. And moving from that, Maminada, Saturday, being a day of recollection, being known as a day of time, Maminada being known as a day of Sankofa, to weave one's destiny. Once we have our awareness of ourselves as talismans, and also, again, sharing part of the process. Once a talisman is ritually crafted from an Asumanfo, then there's still another phase of that work, because whoever the recipient is, whichever person within the community would come to get that root work done, that hoodoo work done, then they have their own journey of interweaving it within their destiny to connect to its own power. Then they must then take it and Sankofa and bring it back into their daily lives, so that it can permeate their own being, and then have connection to the form and function of their space, so that it can do its work. Because again, referring back to the definition of, even just in English terms, what a talisman is, something that is representative of a power source, is holding power. And that power is then a piece of a larger matrix, network, pantheon, mythology of power. And that's a brief synopsis, if you will, of some things that are highlighted in the book, and a bit of an outline to how it is a guide. It's really a working love letter to those of us on this journey that are connected to, or not only that are connected to, but that hold an awareness of reverence for life, for magic, for culture, for ancestry, for hoodoo. And it's been a sharing of my journey and some steps to how I'm navigating it. So I hope that brings some light, brings some offering of food to your specific okrawa, to your ancestry. And if you have any questions, you can reach me on IG at Hoodoo Quantus. You also can send me an email at hoodooquantus@gmail.com. And yes, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be with you in this moment virtually. And Hatep, peace.